Hello class and welcome. Today we're going to talk about STP. When you break that down, it's segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And the idea here is that we can't be all things to all people. In marketing, we have to choose who we're going to buy, who we're going to sell to. We also do have to choose who we buy from, but who we're going to sell to. And we can't sell to everyone. We just don't have enough money. We don't have enough time. We can't have a product that fits everyone's needs. So what we do is we segment. And I like the example of an orange. When you open an orange and then you fan it out, you get segments. You can't sell to the whole orange. You need to find certain parts of the orange that you want to sell to. So let's pretend the orange is the world. You can then split the world up into smaller pieces, males and females, or education levels, people with a high school diploma, people with a college diploma. You could do income levels. You could say people who are religious and people who aren't religious. You have all sorts of ways to separate people up into pieces. And with those pieces, you now have a more defined person or persona to advertise to sell to. And so that's the idea of market segmentation, is dividing the larger market into smaller pieces. After you've divided it into smaller pieces, you target one. You decide, you see the little pieces, you say, okay, this one aligns, they make enough money, they should be interested, it solves their problem, and then you say, okay, that's who we want to target. So instead of targeting the whole United States, you might target, people living in California, in the Bay Area, who are 18 to 24 years old. They go to Las Positas College and they drive a car to school. That might be a target, for example. Competitive advantage is pretty important, that if you want to segment and you want to target, you should be able to do something that no one else could do. Because if you do segment a market and you create a product or service and somebody else can copy it really easily, you will get competition and you risk going out of business. So typically, if you're going to segment a market, you want to know that you have some sort of competitive advantage going into that market. If you don't, it's really risky, because other people are going to come in and try to undercut you, try to come and take your customers away from you. So there's something called a positioning statement. What it does is summarize company or brand positioning using this form. So let's go ahead and see an example of this, but it's the to, the is, and the that, okay? So this is something called Evernote. It's an application for your phone. To the busy multitasker, so that's who they segmented, right? The to is the target market or need, and then the brand is next. So to busy multitaskers, so people who are multitasking, busy people who need help remembering things. Evernote, which is the brand, is a digital content management application. That's what it is. An easier way of saying that is just application that makes it easy to capture and remember moments and ideas from your everyday life using your computer, phone, tablet, and the web. So you see how that they segmented the market into busy multitaskers, right? They're not interested in people who aren't multitasking, probably people who aren't working long hours, things like that. They want busy multitaskers, so that's who they segmented. And then this is what they do. And then this is how they solve your problem. Let's take another example. Amazon. For World Wide Web users, okay, so people, you have to have the internet to use Amazon, who enjoy books, Amazon.com, the company, it's a retail bookstore. And unlike traditional book retailers, Amazon.com provides a combination of extraordinary convenience, low prices, and comprehensive selection. So using their competitive advantage, how they're different, who they're targeting, and they have a clear vision. So this is great for not only the company, but also the customer to know exactly what they're trying to do, what problems they're trying to solve. I think I have one more for you here. Yeah, Zipcar.com. To urban dwelling, so people that are in urban areas, educated, techno-savvy consumers, because you need a smartphone, you need to register for an account. When you use Zipcar, the company, car sharing service, that's what it is. Instead of owning a car, you save money while reducing your carbon footprint. So another example of a positioning statement. The positioning statement positions the company, right? So you segmented the market, you picked your target, and then you position yourself to those people, like what we are as a company, how we're going to help you. And that's done with the positioning statement. Now, a lot of companies position themselves from price versus benefits. I like to use the example of like grocery stores. I would say grocery outlet, for example, is less for much less. It's cheaper prices, but you don't get the kind of service or the kind of, and the expiration dates aren't the same. So it's not like Safeway. And then you have other stores which might be a little cheaper, like Trader Joe's, where you get, Trader Joe's is actually pretty cheap. So the price is actually, you get more benefits for less. And then I would put Whole Foods at more for more. It's a higher price, but you get way more benefits when you go to Whole Foods. More organic selection, more small farms, things like that. Safeway, I might put them at more for the same, because especially they've increased the prices. Safeway and Albertsons are more for the same. And then you have a couple other grocery stores on there, but you see that even though we have all these competing grocery stores, they still exist in the market because they're differentiating themselves of what they're offering the customer. I would say Albertsons and Safeway kind of fight a little more neck and neck, but there's a big difference between a Safeway and a Trader Joe's of the value you get and the benefits you get. Same thing with a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's, or a Whole Foods and a Safeway. Car companies do the same thing. If you think about BMW, Lexus, they're going to be more for more, right? You pay more for those cars, but you get a lot more benefits. You get leather seats, traction control, a bigger engine, things like that. And then you have things like Kia or Hyundai, and you got like the Elantra or the Toyota Yaris, which is less for less. You pay a lot less for that car, but you don't get much. It's kind of a box on wheels. Sorry if any of you guys own a Yaris, but it is, you don't get as much. You're not going to get leather unless you get an upgraded package. You're not going to get more than 4 cylinders on the engine, things like that. And by doing this, they position themselves so that each one of them takes a different position in the market. So depending on the person, we can then match the person to the different positioning. So somebody who's probably a student is going to maybe go after the same for less, less for much less, or more for less. For somebody who's been working in a job for the last 20 years and has a lot of money, they might have the money and the means to go more for more, more for the same. So as brands position themselves, they align themselves to then find the correct customers to then sell their products and services. So that's the idea of STP. Segment your market first, then you target it, and then you position it. When a brand launches a new product line, oftentimes they're going after a new segment of the market, so they might change the way they do it, for example. There's many ways you can manipulate and change this, but I think with cars and grocery stores, you could see that there's a clear definition of how they position themselves and how they segment themselves. And you'll find this in a lot of industries as well.